Let's look more closely at ways to use arrays. For example, let's perform a calculation to compute a sum. Numbers are kept in the array. In this case, the array has 6 numbers. Let's figure out a program to find the sum of these 6 numbers. This is the program to do that. Let's go through it in order. The first line is the initialization of an array named A. This is how we store data in the array. We arrange numbers after the square bracket in order, and the data will be in it. If we do this initialization statement, data will be kept in the arrays as written here, like this. Let's see how to calculate the sum. We use the variable s to keep the intermediate value of the sum. We initially set s to 0. Next line is for the variable k that is used as an index of the array. In Ruby, the index of every array starts from 0, so we set 0 to k. Now, the actual computation is done by this while loop. The computation within the while loop is repeated while k is less than 6. Since k is initially 0 and increased by 1 at each repetition, this part is repeated 6 times. Doing at each repeat is addition, like written here. The variable s keeps the present sum, and the new value ak, that is the value of the case box of the array A, is added to s. And then its result is again stored into s. Because k takes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at each repeat, every box in the array is added to s. By executing this statement, we can compute the sum. Please note again that in Ruby, the index of the array starts from 0. Therefore, it goes in order from 0. So for this array with 6 boxes, at last box in the 5th one, that is its index is 5. We advise that the last index is 1 less than the total number of boxes of the array. This can also be written with a for statement that we learned before. This lets you write more compactly. Writing sum in this way is actually similar to a mathematical expression. When defining a sum in this way, you can also write it in a sigma. Okay? And by using sum index, say k, we add ak, that is the case element of the tuple a, and then by this expression, we can compute the sum, which is really very similar to the for statement. So you can think of the for statement as a natural way to write this expression in the program. Here we have 6 numbers that have been set to the array. But sometimes we want to input an undefined amount of numbers and compute their total sum. Let's try writing such a program. This is a program to do that. Let's call it sum.rb. Let's first see how to use this program. On the terminal window, type ruby sum.rb to execute this program. Then computer waits for inputs. Then we human type a sequence of numbers, for example, -3, 8, 19, -4, and hits the return or the enter key. Then the computer understands that all of those data has arrived, and so the program is run, and the answer for the sum of these numbers, that is -3 plus 8 plus 19 plus -4, that is 20, appears on the screen as the output. Please note that a space is used to separate numbers, and the line break caused by pressing the enter key means the end of the input. By the way, in my lecture slides, I use a yellow characters to indicate what human enters by typing on the keyboard. Please note that this is just for illustrating which are given by human and which are output of the computer. On your actual PC, all are shown in the same color, mostly in white. Now let's look at the mechanism of the program. The part that computes the sum is roughly the same as before, but the input part is a little different. The first line is the input part. Actually, this line is the command to get the sequence of numbers that human types on the keyboard and store them into the array A. In this course, let me skip the meaning of this command. So please use this line as a magic formula. When this command is given, the computer is waiting for the keyboard to put in integers. And so if you type in numbers like before and press the enter key, the command is resumed and the numbers go into the boxes of the array respectively. The next line is for obtaining the number of data items entered into the array. Here we use n as a variable to keep this number. Now look at the right-hand side of the equal sign. By adding period and length after the name of the array, we can get the length of the array or the number of boxes in the array. So in this statement, first we obtain the number of elements in the array A and then store this number to the variable n. Remember that this equal sign is also a command. It means to store the right-hand side into the variable written the left of the equal sign. Then using an array A, keeping the input integers, and the variable n, keeping the number of these integers, the computation of sum, this part, is roughly the same as before. First, initial value of answer for the sum is set 0, then this loop is performed. This loop repeats for the values of k from 0 to n-1. Please pay attention here again. The index of the array starts from 0. Therefore, the computation repeats as the k values changes from 0 to n-1, which gives you n repeats. Then the sum is computed to the variable s. This is a typical use of arrays. Let's see more examples of programs. The next program is to read data items into the array and find the largest value among them. Let's call this Ruby program as maxRB. Here's an example of the execution. By running max.rb, it waits for input numbers. So suppose, for example, we give those numbers and press enter, then we want the program to output the largest number among 4, which is 19 in this case. So the program, if it runs correctly, gives 19. And we design our program so that it also gives us the index or the location of this maximum number in the array, besides giving us the max number. In this example, 19 is located in the second number in the sequence, so computer outputs 2 after 19. Recall that the index of the first number, this one, is 0. So this is the zeroth number, and this is the first number, and then 19 is the second number. So 2 is the correct location of 19. Let's look at the program that does this. This is the outline of the program. We will discuss the core part. This core part of the program that computes the maximum in a practice exercise. But let's look over it quickly once more. It is the same as before. First, enter data in the array A. Enter this using a keyboard. After you press enter, all the data are put into A. And the length of array is computed and then put into the variable n. Using this A and n, we want to, for our example case, to compute 19, the largest number, and then its location. Well, although we will discuss this computation in the practice exercise, let me give some hint here. We end up looking at all of the array elements, so as you can see with for statement, this for statement with j as an index represents the value of the index. And then as the value of j changes from 0 to n-1, this part is repeated and the jth element on the array A is examined at each repeat. Let's use max and max j as you see here as variables for memorizing what the current maximum value and the location of this maximum value. Hopefully we can use them smartly, and during for loop repetitions, the values of these variables are revised appropriately. Then we can ultimately output answer max and max j, which should be the correct answer. We will consider this actual program in the exercise.